Hey, everybody, and welcome back to For the Booze.
For the booze.
For the
booze. I'm going to just mock you and make fun of you.
Okay.
What's going on, Megan?
Well, I actually have something. I refinished our dining room table today.
Yeah, you did. It actually looks really good. I had my doubts. I'm not going to lie.
I knew you did the way you came in and looked at me a couple times.
Look, when he had partially, it looked kind of funny. But it looks good. You did a good job.
Thanks.
I have a shout out I want to make in the very beginning.
Oh, okay.
If listeners remember from a few weeks back, remember I hurt my arm at work.
Yes.
And one of our listeners, a good friend of the show, Miss Julie Metten. I hope I'm saying your last name right. Many times I've talked to you. I don't think I've ever asked how you say it, but Miss Metten.
Miss Julie.
But anyways, she is known as a healer.
Yes.
And I'm gonna be honest. I had my doubts about this kind of stuff. I have my doubts about it. I don't understand it, I guess, is the real thing.
I am very much a paranormal believer, and you are a skeptic. Mm-hmm. But that is one area that I am a skeptic, okay?
Me too.
Not a full. I mean, I believe there are things, but...
Well, I think it's more that I just don't understand it. So, But anyways, through the Wednesday Paranormal Oddity Spaces, I let her know what was going on, and she asked me for a few things, and I don't know what it was, but whatever she did, it worked. I can't explain it, but I woke up the next day, and it was like nothing had ever happened. So
crazy.
It's insane.
So crazy.
So while I just don't understand it, that's all. But Julie, whatever you did, it worked.
Listen, worked. Julie, he didn't tell me anything about what happened until the next morning, okay? And when he told me, I literally had goosebumps.
Yeah.
I did.
It's
amazing.
It's hard for me to talk about because it's strange.
I get it.
But anyways, if you're in need of her services or anything like that, you can reach out to her at Julie, which is Julie -Metten, METIN .square.site. She's a lovely lady. She is super
great.
Nice. Yeah, she's super nice, and I'm sure she'd love to help you. So make sure if you need her, hit her up.
Yes, hit her up. She's got lots and lots of cool stories too.
Yeah, tons.
I love it. We've already had one of her stories on here.
Absolutely. And we got another one too. We're not gonna put it in this one yet. We're gonna wait for the next one. Mm-hmm. But if you want to get to hear them early, head on over to Paranormal Oddity Space with me, occasionally Megan, and our good friend Rick from Maximum Oddities. It's every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. You can come check us out, and if you have questions and stuff, that's the place to ask. Many other people come in there too. So
yes, lots of people come in, and I can only make it occasionally because I work nights. You know,
if you don't like us or Rick, there's other people you can talk to. But I'm pretty sure Megan's going to share a story with us this week.
Yes, we did not have a listener story or any stories, so I thought it was about time that maybe I start sharing why I'm into the paranormal.
Absolutely.
So
I'm sure we'll both have some stories for the future, but
yes,
we're gonna let Megan take this one away.
So my paranormal started when I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I am a military brat, so we moved around a lot.
You're a brat, all right.
Mm-hmm. And we lived in Texas at this time. And I remember I was really young, and I remember, you know the feeling after you watch a scary movie and you walk into your bedroom and none of the lights are on and you feel like something is behind you. And it's such a hard feeling to explain, but I used to get that feeling all the time. And because I was young, I didn't realize what that was. So we had this really long hallway in the house, and our bedrooms kind of split off down the hallway. And on the left-hand side, there was a bathroom. And it happened when I would pass that bathroom. Not every time, but it would. And I used to kind of, speed walk to my room after I'd get that feeling farther down the hallway and run into my room. And as I got older and we moved away from that house, I started thinking, why? Why did I feel that feeling or get goosebumps? And it always just stuck with me. So I decided to do some research. Obviously, at this time, I had learned about ghosts and spirits and things like that. And I wouldn't say I was a believer, but I decided to look into the house that we lived in. And in doing some research into that house, there was an officer who had lived in that house previous to us, probably 10 or so years before we moved in. And I found out he had committed suicide in that bathroom. And it always made me wonder that had to be him, right? It had to. And so that, with many other stories to follow, was the beginning of my paranormal encounters.
That's pretty creepy.
I know, right? And I didn't know. I was a kid. I was like, I don't know. I just knew it freaked me out. And it wasn't all the time, but you get that feeling, You're just like, oh.
Can't forget that.
Yeah. So
I mean,
that was how I was introduced.
Yeah, we both have stories. I mean, you have a lot of stories. You have stories from here, and my mother's house, and Texas, and
yes, I do.
Lots of stories. But thank you for sharing.
Thanks
for writing in.
And if anybody else wants to write in,
absolutely, please write in.
You are more than welcome to. We love stories.
I'm waiting on quite a few right now.
Okay.
I know that we're going to be getting some, not necessarily paranormal stories, but some spooky stories from an author.
I love it.
But true stories. They are true.
Love it, love
so
it,
I can't wait to get those. And
yes.
We're actually going to have some military paranormal stories coming in.
Yes.
So your boys networking.
Do it up, baby.
Unfortunately, I don't have a promo this week. And if you're a listener of the show and you have a podcast and you'd like to get your promo played, hit us up. I'd love to get your name out there and maybe open up some of our listeners to you guys. So
lots of people like lots of different things. So
forthebooze12@gmail.com. You too could win the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstake.
Oh, do I get a big check?
Maybe. I wish. I wish Daddy could use a new Les Paul.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Anyways, so moving on.
Are we doing this week?
Oh, do I get to say?
You get to say.
Well,
what are we doing this week?
We've been doing a lot of locations and stuff.
Yes.
And we haven't done a television show in a while, so we thought we'd cover one of those. And this week, we're taking on the Ghost Brothers.
Ooh.
Now, this is a Travel Channel show for anybody who doesn't know. I feel like a lot of the paranormal people should know who these guys are. No matter how you feel about them,
yeah,
you should know who these guys are. Because
absolutely.
I think they're just starting out.
I do too.
I say that in the matter of they've been around for a few years, but what I mean is I think they're just getting started.
I think they're gaining traction.
I think they're going to be bigger in the network television side of things more so than anything else.
Okay.
But anyways, on to the story.
Let's do it.
As per usual, I would like to give a shout out to a few websites where I found the information that I got all this at, such as a place called tvovermind.com. Of course, the almighty powerful Wikipedia.com and thefamousdata.com. By now, most of the paranormal community has heard of, purchased, and watched just about everything on Discovery Plus that we can. From shows like Kindred Spirits, Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, and Portals to Hell. And then there's the Ghost Brothers. Best friends Dalen Spratt, Jawan Mass, and Marcus Harvey are Atlanta's premier ghost hunting team. They seamlessly blend comedy with a refreshingly straightforward approach to the paranormal as they investigate America's most haunted locations. A mention of ghosts comes with a lot of questions. Are ghosts real? What do they look like in reality? Do they interact with human beings? The question about ghosts have remained unanswered for a long time. But Dalen, together with Jawan and Marcus, join hands to explore on the paranormal. They visit several places, that are believed to be haunted by ghosts to investigate and attempt to prove to people that ghosts really do exist. They're in the show Ghost Brothers, which has caught the public eye. But what do we really know about the Ghost Brothers?
What's up with them?
Well, who is Dalen Spratt? Dalen was born March 18th of 1986. Yes, Megan, he's your age.
Hey.
He was born in Dallas, Texas. Dalen has grown to become famous through the show. And there's some interesting facts about him that will help everyone get to understand who he is. Dalen is completely addicted to history, both inside and outside of the paranormal. He's an entrepreneur and fashion designer, and he's the ringleader of the team, with his finger on the pulse of the who, what, where, when, and why of each case. Besides being on the show, Spratt is also a fashion designer, like I said, whose designs he sells to interested customers. He also customizes the designs depending on the customer's order. Now, he was doing this before meeting the two other men who formed the cast of what we all know now as the Ghost Brothers. Despite being in the show, he still creates time to monitor his business. Dalen has a company known as Loren Spratt. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Loren Spratt, whatever. That deals in men's clothing. I figured.
Yeah, right.
Now, Dalen's mother was a pastor. The profession of his mother made him grow up as a Christian. Although Christians believe in life after death, most of us believe that the spirit should rest, hence the term rest in peace, upon every soul that departs from this world. However, in an interview with Parle magazine,
Parlay.
P-A-R-L-E.
Parlay.
Parlay has another letter in there, but I think that's what it's supposed to be. Spratt says that growing up in church is what led him to have respect for the spiritual world. Spratt, as with any ambitious person, has a vision for what he started. He hopes to see them getting more seasons, since he finds it fun working with his close friends and trying new things. Together, they are ready to do greater things in their struggle to explore the spiritual realm. In the future, the friends wish to visit places that are scarier and get more experiences. He first encountered the paranormal when he was a young child, after attending the funeral of a man lost to gun violence. He awoke to find that man standing over him, quote-unquote, clear as day. It's an experience that he will never forget, and one that bonded him to the fraternity brother, business partner, and best friend Juwan Mass. I was also able to find a story that says when Spratt was just 7 years old, he saw a ghost-like creature in his grandmother's house, and this became the genesis of him believing in spirits. He had heard stories of spirits, but had never believed in their existence until he saw one. His grandmother had also discussed with him the subject of ghosts and how they affect people in their daily lives. The belief in the presence of ghosts made him enthusiastic when he met the two colleagues, and they decided to take the narrative on spirits to another level. Dalen also loves writing and is an author of a short story called Lure. He began writing after he got the interest to explore ghosts and tries to explain to people that ghosts are real. The novel revolves around violence and the effects of spirits on our lives. Now, in the book, someone kills a homeless man who later comes back to haunt the killer and thus proves that people exist as spirits once they die.
Wow. That sounds like a very interesting book.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
And if that wasn't enough, he is an alumni of Clark Atlanta University, where he met Juwan Mass. The two met online, and both were in a fraternity called Kappa Alpha Psi. It was while at the university that they forged a close friendship, becoming best friends, roommates, and even business partners. Juwan is also part of the team that launched the custom couture line for men, Loren Spratt. As for Marcus, Dalen met him through a mutual friend, and since Marcus is a barber, Dalen became his customer, and the three have been together since 2009, according to a magazine called Rolling Out.
Barber.
We'll learn a little bit more about that in a little bit. So who is Juwan Mass? When people with a common goal meet and work together to achieve it, they are more likely to excel in life. Mass is one person who has risen to fulfill his desires after meeting friends who shared the same goal. He was interested in the paranormal world, and he later met his friends Dalen Spratt and Marcus Harvey, and together they went ahead to explore the ghost world. Now, Jawan was born November 17th, 1985 in Chicago. Like his friend, apart from paranormal investigations, Jawan is also a fashion designer. Fashion designing was the order of the day for him before meeting his friends that he would soon investigate with. He deals mainly in high-end male suits and has several designs for a customer to choose from. He has a keen balance between paranormal investigations and his business, since he designs men fashion in the day and then goes for paranormal investigations at night. The journey into exploring the paranormal began when he was still very young. At the age of 12, he would visit graveyards in an attempt to find paranormal activity. He would experience a lot of changes in his younger years, and this made him more curious about the unseen world, and it made him want to explore it even more. And when he met the two men with the same goal, they began satisfying their curiosity of paranormal activities together. They visited most places that were haunted by ghosts and made many discoveries that promoted their fame. I'm going to stop here for a second because I read a lot of stuff that alluded to the fact that he may be some kind of medium.
Okay.
Like, he gets a lot of... I don't think they ever come out and say he's a medium. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's sensitive.
Or just like an empath or something.
But he has... It comes up a lot in a lot of the articles that I read, that he has this ability to, like, he can sense things that the other guys can't.
Right.
And they use it a lot.
Interesting. That's a pretty good tool to have when you're a ghost hunter. Just saying.
Now, some people like keeping the details of their lives private for their own reasons, and Jawan is definitely one of them. A secret life makes it possible for someone to do things without the constant meddling of the public eye. The only details about him that we can find in his career in the paranormal investigations is his line of business, like being a fashion designer and being on TV. Other things on his social life have remained a secret. We don't know anything that happens beyond his career or business. That the available details reveal only so little about him. It was very hard to really find anything big about him, honestly.
I mean, we've come across people in doing our show that have just been very private.
And he's one of them.
I fully respect that, too.
Now, when he was getting into the paranormal investigating, he used to experience different physical sensations when he was around ghosts. This is where we get into this. Mm-hmm. Now, when carrying out investigations, he makes use of a thermal camera mostly. He likes the thermal camera because it assists him in knowing if the physical sensations are different spirits trying to get his attention, or if he's just paranoid. Now, by using the thermal camera, he can also know what types of spirits that he is attracted and investigate them. And I think what he's doing is he's balancing it with, like, I have a feeling and I'm going to grab the thermal and see if I can see something.
Can I prove it? Put science to that feeling.
He's trying to link the way he feels, like, at the moment, and see if he can find something, which is...
totally get that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Paranormal investigations involve visiting creepy sites, and according to his interview with Parley Magazine, his most frightening place is the House of Wills in Cleveland. He states that the area became a funeral home, but currently a satanic movement occupies the residence. He says that it's the scariest place that he's ever been in his life.
Whoa.
Now, Jawan has a huge heart that can get him into the craziest of situations. He has a passion for helping people and is willing to jump into the fire to get answers. The Eagle Scout is a natural-born explorer. With that said, he knows when to run when the shit's about to hit the fan.
Oh, it's a good instinct to have. I mean, okay, bye.
I mean, these guys are freaking smart.
Yeah.
These guys were hard workers.
Yeah.
And they made their way up the ladder. It wasn't handed to them. I have a lot of respect for these guys. No matter what the outcome is at the end of this, how I feel, if it's a yes or no.
Right.
I have a lot of respect for these guys because they really carved out their own path. And it's pretty impressive.
Good for them. Yeah. Good for them.
Doing a lot more than me.
Yeah, right. We try, but geez.
Now, with that being said, who is Marcus Harvey? I gotta say, I love Dalen and Jawan, but Marcus he's hilarious.
He is so funny. So funny.
Well, Marcus was born on February 9th, 1983, making him the oldest of the group. A self-proclaimed barber to the stars, Harvey is the co-founder of the Muselair Grooming Gallery and has worked on the set of BET's Let's Stay Together and Sunday's Best.
Wow.
Harvey, he's also a stand-up comedian, which makes a lot of sense.
Go figure.
Harvey is a husband to Christina Harvey, which is spelled very beautifully, I might add. I've never seen it spelled like this. It's Kryrstina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's real pretty.
Wow.
I love that. Since 2008, and little is known about his parents, and there's actually no details about if he has any siblings. Now, Harvey has been cutting Dalen's hair since 2011. Now, having been friends for years, they shared a lot of stories and life experiences. Harvey told Spratt a story that sounded paranormal and was invited to join Spratt's paranormal investigation team. Marcus is the most spiritual member of the group and the only father among the brothers. His ability to sympathize and relate to families sets him apart, whether it's bonding with an upset spouse or winning over a scared child. He has an uncanny ability to provide peace and hope to frightened families, and his natural humor can always make clients crack a smile. When Marcus isn't lending comfort to beleaguered families, he's lending an empathetic ear. Mad clipper skills, not my words, and old school barbershop wisdom to his famous clients at his Atlanta barbershop. There's not a whole lot more information out there on each of them individually. I mean, these guys seem to come from very good upbringings, from good families, have good educations, and the will to succeed. And it's very easy to like these guys. The show itself only aired for 2 seasons, but has had a couple successful spin-offs, such as Haunted House Guests and Fright Club. So, while the original Ghost Brothers show has since been canceled, it's very doubtful that we've seen the last of these guys.
Awesome. I thoroughly enjoy Marcus, and I didn't...
Hilarious.
I did not know that he was the only one that was a dad, so it kind of makes sense the way he is with families compared to the other two. I mean, they're sympathetic and they are, and like they get it, but he just seems different.
Well,
I don't know.
I feel like they all kind of play a role.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Dalen is 100% the leader. Okay, like you can tell it's his baby. This is the show. And then you got Jawan, who is the self-proclaimed pretty boy. Well, he is the pretty boy. I mean, he's the good-looking one of the group. And then you got Marcus, who is definitely the comic relief.
Yeah.
But they all lend themselves to the show in such an organically funny way. And they just work so well together. That's why I say no matter at the end of this, I'm going to say I really like these guys.
I do too.
And I would watch anything they put out because I find them highly entertaining. Their comedy is very tasteful. They're very respectful. And the shows are just entertaining. So if you haven't watched any of these, you should probably check them out. Don't go in it looking for groundbreaking paranormal stuff because you're not going to find it. But they're fun shows and they're fun to watch. So
it is.
Check them out.
It is a very well done show, and their personalities make the show what it is, for sure.
So that's the history. Well, I don't know if I'm going to call it the history, but
the information behind.
I mean, I say this every time we cover like a TV show. There's not a lot of history here. This isn't a historic location, so we just have to go with what we got. And these guys are fairly new. Well, 2016, I said they came out. So what is that? 16? Yeah, let me do my math. They've only been around for 6 years,
Yeah.
But I feel like in the network television world, they've added they filled a place that wasn't really filled until now.
Yeah.
And that was, it's paranormal, but it's funny.
Yeah, they're relatable. They're not super serious, and it's not like this super structured thing. I mean, like their investigations are to a certain extent, and their investigations are good, but like everything else, the interviews, like they have the people laughing, it's really good.
It's kind of like when we interviewed East Coast.
Yeah.
Paranormal investigation. Just funny.
We just laughed.
I love that.
I know.
But anyways, moving on, I'm sure you have some stuff to get to now as well.
I do. Well, this week, I wanted to do something a little different. Instead of tell a story, I really wanted to dive into who these guys are and what the show really is. I didn't know a whole lot about who they were and how they came to be. I decided to compile a list of questions from interviews and get their take on the ghostly side of things. I wanted to know, how do they investigate? How did ghost hunting for them even become a thing? Had the paranormal impacted them to become ghost hunters? So a special thanks to conskipper.com, Parlay Magazine, and Sheen Magazine. I pulled parts from each interviews so we can find out all the paranormal parts and what makes them tick as investigators. So without further ado, let's jump into the questions and answers.
I almost took some stuff from Sheen Magazine. I'm kind of glad I didn't now.
Question. What made the three of you want to come together to do this Ghost Brothers show? Dalen. It was never about it being a show. It was just something that we were curious about in our own spare time. We all have our own jobs, careers, and lives. You know, how friends just sit around and talk about stuff and start telling stories about your past, and one thing leads to another. You start to realize that crazy stuff has happened to, like, everybody. Everybody has their own certain level of curiosity. We were just three friends who decided to take it one step further and do some searching on our own and ask some questions for ourselves. We caught the attention of the network, and they allowed us an opportunity to do it on a way larger scale. Question. Growing in the African American community, we were told not to mess with the dead, or else bad things would happen. Do you think that by going around looking for the paranormal, you're opening up the doors that don't need to be opened? Marcus. I don't think we are. We're just trying to gain understanding, wisdom, and knowledge. We're just curious. We are in touch with our spiritual side. I don't think we are poking at anything. Dalen. We come at it in a respectful way. I think with us growing up in the church, we have certain level of respect for the spiritual world. We know not to play with it. We come into it with a humorous manner, but not a playful manner. We feel like if you're a spirit, you once were among the living. If you lived, 10 times out of 10, you had a sense of humor. I can't just see that sense of humor just passing away when you go away. Why can't they have that level of humor too? Jawan. Honestly, we know we are knocking on doors and we are trying to break down barriers. I want them to be opened. We wouldn't be able to go and investigate anything if we never got anything. They say, be careful, because if you knock on that door, somebody might open it. Thing is, I want somebody to open it. That's why we're here. Our curiosity just doesn't stop at the show. We really want to understand why. Dalen. You're right, Juan. You can't ignore it. How can someone teach you or tell you to ignore it? You can't ignore the fact that there is something here that you cannot see, but has a presence. People teach us not to mess with it. But you want me to ignore it? I don't think that's right. I think you should always have that thirst quest for knowledge and understanding. Question. In comparison to other shows, what makes Ghost Brothers different, and what can viewers expect from it? Dalen. That's a fair question. I think the similarity of our show with other paranormal activity shows would be the fact that we are all seeking to find ghosts that are out there. What makes us different, I believe, is our chemistry. Genuinely have three friends who are of different ethnic backgrounds. People always say black folks handle things a little differently, and now you get a first-hand glimpse to that. Marcus. Yeah, the black guy doesn't die. Dalen. Exactly. The black guy doesn't die. We're trying to dispute that theory. Jawan. Nah, man, we don't die. What makes us different is our approach. We handle things from a real standpoint, and we understand that there are malevolent spirits and benevolent spirits, and you can't antagonize every situation. You have to be gentle with your approach. We have to switch up our approach depending on the story. Sometimes you have to hit them with the R&B voice, so to speak, and sometimes you have to speak with authority.
Hey, baby.
It all depends. I think it is within our approach, because some of the other shows have this monotone, antagonistic approach. Sometimes that doesn't get the best result. Question. You both had paranormal experiences early in life, correct? Dalen. Yes, I was 7 years old when I first saw a ghost. My grandmother brought me to a funeral home in West Texas to pay her respects to a man who died due to gun violence, and she had me touch his hand in the casket. That night, I awoke, and the man was standing next to my bed. Juwan, when I was 12 years old, I was running from one end of the cemetery to the other, and I felt the presence of something watching me. I thought to myself, can I outrun a ghost? From that point on, I knew there was some kind of energy in the world that I couldn't understand, but wanted to know more about. Question. You have 3 different versions of Ghost Brothers: the original series, Haunted House Guests, and your latest, Ghost Brothers Lights Out. How is Lights Out different from the others? Dalen, Lights Out brings us back to our roots. We got away from them a little with Haunted House Guests, although we did enjoy helping all of the families with their ghost issues. On Lights Out, we are once again going to the bigger locations, but the spin is that only I know the history of the location and the paranormal claims. So when Juwan and Marcus investigate it, we can see if what they find matches. Question. What do you think of the new setup, Juwan? Juwan, to be honest, it is a little more unnerving having Dalen set in the control center and Marcus and I go into an investigation blind. We didn't have any information about the locations, so it was a little like walking on pins and needles each time. We tackled it well, but it was an adjustment. Question. Did you decide to return to larger locations like asylums, ships, jails, etc. due to COVID-19 or because you wanted to go bigger this time? Dalen, it was really due to both. COVID-19 shut down a lot of these locations, like Pensacola Lighthouse, so we had more access than we would have normally had. No one was visiting them, so it gave us more quiet space to investigate. Question. In the first episode, there's a scene where you, Dalen, were sitting in Aunt Agnes's room. Did you truly feel like you were going to die, and did you truly feel someone's presence? Dalen, what really happened that night was Marcus and I were in the cabin, but in another room, and we did an EVP recording. The EVP recording let us know something else was in there. The voice said something like, "Let's talk," or "sit down." Something let us know that it was there. For me to be in there later on that night by myself, it was like it had already been proven to me that something else is in this cabin that I can't see. It wasn't like I knew something was going to happen to me. I just didn't know what could happen. Like I wasn't prepared to see something. What would I have done if I had looked up and Aunt Agnes had shown herself? I would have literally passed away. Like I would have died. It would have been no coming back. Y'all would have been searching for me on the next episode. Question. Which sites stood out to you this season? Dalen. For me, it was the Roth House in Illinois. It reminded me a lot of the Allen House that we visited in Arkansas. Juwan. I would say the USS Lexington. It was my first time investigating an aircraft carrier, and the history of the ship and the stories about those sailors going through some horrific times were things I never thought about before. Question. One of the key aspects of the Ghost Brothers that fans respond to are your reactions to the paranormal. Does it ever get too intense for either of you? Dalen. Every investigation is like the first one for us in terms of how we feel about them. These are things that you can't get used to, so they do scare you when they happen, and they never happen when you ask them to. Juwan. I have a lot of those big scare moments on the show, and I'm constantly terrified. I think I'm now more sensitive than I was when we first filmed Ghost Brothers proper, and look at the phenomenon from the evidence standpoint, but I'm still terrified. Question. What advice can you give someone who may be interested in exploring the world of paranormal activity? Dalen. Take it serious, because when you go knocking on that door, somebody gonna open it up. So just be careful and mindful of what you're getting yourself into. Question. Have you ever brought spirits back with you, or is that even possible? Marcus. Heck no. You know my wife don't play those games. I can't afford to have no ghosts. No ghost babies, no side babies. My wife don't even like a ghost saying boo. She'll say, I'm the only one you call him boo. I know, it made me laugh.
This is what I like about these guys.
I know. Dalen. No, we haven't brought anything back. Actually, when we first started doing ghost investigations, someone that introduced us to it told us something very great. He said, anytime you get ready to leave an investigation, always tell the ghosts to stay and not follow you. They are not welcome. You must close out every investigation with that, and we've been doing that since we started. Question. Was there ever a time when you were so freaked out that you couldn't even finish the investigation? Juwan. There have actually been times where I told the producers and cameramen to cut the cameras. I'm not doing this anymore. I was genuinely creeped out. I was that scared. I get scared in almost all the episodes. We actually use humor to keep from crying. Laughter is medicine. Question. And my last question for you guys. How did you come up with the name for the show? Dalen. Jawan and I are actually fraternity brothers. We are members of Kappa Alpha
Psi.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Fraternity Inc. So we kind of played off of that. And we are black folks. Black folks always say we are brothers. We always relate friendship to family. These guys will always be my brothers. Jawan. To even take it a step further, if you let me preach to you for a second, I am my brother's keeper. Marcus. Preach. Dalen. Preach on, brother.
Oh, man.
I know. They're great guys.
This is what I love about their show, though.
I know.
Because this is like, they're such normal guys.
Yes.
Like, they are not what you think about when you think about, like, a TV personality.
Yeah, TV paranormal investigator.
That's what I'm
like,
saying.
you know?
They just seem like regular dudes.
Yes.
And I love it.
I know.
It's like you said earlier, it's just very, very relatable.
It is.
So.
And they are just very down to earth, chill people. And it's kind of a breath of fresh air.
It is.
It is.
Especially in like a, I don't know, all the shows are always, like, I love them, don't get me wrong, but they're all very serious.
Yes.
You might get a little giggle here and there from, like, I don't know, like Portals to Hell. Like, in the beginning, like when Jack was like, I'm so scared type stuff. But these guys use humor a lot.
Yes.
Especially Marcus. It's
I know.
freaking funny.
You're so funny.
And, yeah, I don't know. It's a good show.
It
Good
is a good
shows.
show.
And it's funny because you mentioned a spinoff that I didn't, and I mentioned one that you didn't.
Yes.
So the Fright Club is actually them and Jack Osborne. Mm-hmm. So that's like your crossover between Portals and Ghost Brothers. And then what was the other one that you had said? I don't think I heard of that one. As She Looks. I mean,
I can't remember. I read a lot.
I know we watched Fright Club a couple times, and it's pretty funny. I actually thought it was like going to be a super weird mix with Jack Osborne.
With Jack Osborne and the guys,
but it works. It works because
it does.
Because they're like so like urban American, and he is just so like free. He's super English.
Yes,
so it's
very.
Like the mix, somehow.
But it works
It
too.
works really good. I like it.
I don't know. I can't find it now. Okay. All my papers are all over the place. I read a lot. I'm sorry. I can't remember.
We throw them around.
I know. I read it. I'm like,
well, I know that there was a Haunted House Guest, which I don't think I've ever watched.
I think I've seen it like in doing my research, and I was like, oh, I'll do a story and it'll like be about an episode or something. And I think I saw an episode of that. I'm pretty sure it was that one. And it was good. It was good. It was like this family and...
Oh, so they're doing houses.
Yes, they go and help people, basically. And like people call in and they're like, okay, we'll help you out, you know. It was really good. The one I watched was
Lights Out.
Crazy, actually. Ghost Brothers, Lights Out. I just found it as soon as you said it.
I've never seen that one. So
I haven't either.
But they're knocking out spinoffs left and right. Mm-hmm. So pick one, watch it.
And they're out there. They're great. If you guys have never seen the show, go check them out. Any of them. But
there comes a time in every episode where we reach the end, a climax, if you will.
Ooh.
It sounded very wrong. But moving on. Is it real? Well, Other Steven. You know I'm going to say it every time.
Oh, my God.
All right, Megan. Well, honestly, we're at that portion, and we do have to get to our opinions because nobody really cares about our opinions but us. So we're going to keep telling them.
Hey, but opinions are like what holes. Everybody's got one.
But nobody wants yours. Debatable. Anyways. Okay. It's going in. Exactly.
Oh my God. Okay.
I'll cut it out.
Is it real?
Well, little Steve.
Other Steve.
We get to the portion of the show where we have to ask, is it real? Because that's what we do. So we've read a lot. We've watched the show. I'm pretty sure we've seen every episode of Ghost Brothers, the original show.
Yes.
And we've seen a couple of the spinoffs from here and there.
Mm-hmm. I think we watched some of the Fright Clubs too.
Yeah, we did.
Mm-hmm.
So, Megan, what do you think?
I'm going to say maybe. Maybe. No percentages, just maybe. I feel like there are things, because they're another one of the channels that they don't capture crazy amounts of evidence. And
Hard to capture any.
I do like that, as, it leans more towards the real side. But I don't know, there's just not enough to make me be like, yeah, sure. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm going to say maybe. What about you?
Okay. I'm going to have a long-winded answer as per usual.
Go for it.
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I don't think that they're real at all.
Okay.
Which is, I think maybe in the beginning they were, or maybe even before the television stuff they were, because they seem to have a real interest in it. So
right.
Maybe then, I think for them it's more of an entertainment thing, and you know what? For once, I'm not hating on it because they do it well. They don't overdo anything.
Yeah.
And while it is a paranormal show, they're not trying to show us that they can conjure the devil like other shows and weird stuff like that. They're just being entertaining and funny,
right.
and they're still trying to make the investigation seem real, but crack a bunch of jokes and stuff while they do it. I read a lot of things that pointed in the direction that they just were fake, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Normally, I hate on shows for that, but because they don't try to push out a bunch of fake evidence, I respect it even more.
There's not a poltergeist everywhere they go.
Now, with that being said, the other shows that have spun off, like Fright Club, is undoubtedly 100% real because all they're doing is sitting there discussing with Jack Osborne whether or not they think something else is real.
Right. Kind of like our show.
Exactly. So they're just being themselves, cracking jokes, and discussing whether or not they think internet things are real.
Like the videos that you see online and all that.
And I'm not going to comment on Lights Out or Haunted House Guest because I haven't really watched them, so I don't know. But either way, I love these guys. And
they're so great.
They're so entertaining, and they seem like people you'd want to hang out with in real life. And that goes a long way when it goes to television stuff because a lot of these people, I'm like, yeah, I like their shows, but I wouldn't want to hang out with these people.
Yeah, because they're just so serious.
They're
all
just
the
so
time.
over the top.
Yeah.
But these guys are like the everybody's kind of people. You know, they just seem like they're very smart. They're very educated, but they're super fun. I can't get past that.
Yeah.
They're super fun.
They are.
They seem like they would be so fun to talk to. If they ever see that we did an episode and they hear this, our email is fortheboost12@gmail.com. I would love.
Oh, that would be so great.
I would love to talk to you guys.
I know.
And you know what? If I'm wrong, and you are being legitimate paranormal investigators, you tell me.
Yep.
And you know what? I'll eat them words, and I will come back on here, and I will tell everybody I was wrong.
Yeah.
You know, because in no way, shape, or form am I putting them down because I think that they are great, and I hope they're around for a really long time after this.
I do too. And we will be watching. And we will probably go watch one of the shows that we have not watched yet. No.
Yeah, most likely. I mean, it's fun. And it's great. So keep up the good work, guys. Very entertaining. We appreciate it. You guys are like a bright light in a dark room as far as like all these super serious people. So
yes,
you're killing it. As long as you're not trying to come up with really unbelievable paranormal activity and pass it off as being real, then I support what you're doing. I like it.
100%. 100%.
But I think this is going to bring us to the end of the show.
So do I.
And,
so where can they find us?
Home.
Steven.
They can find me at home.
Yes, we are always at home.
That's what we do. No, you can normally find me on the Twitter at For the Booze. It's pretty basic. Every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Me, occasionally Megan, Rick from Paranormal or from Maximum Oddities. We got Jonah from the Blue Collar Enlightenment Show. We got Julie from Julie Menton. We've got Ashley from Lullaby to Fear podcast.
Yes,
I mean,
girl.
we've got a ton of people popping in and out there. We've got East Coast Paranormal Investigations coming in.
Yes.
RKB Paranormal's coming in there a lot. So even people that you like here on the show, or us, or one of the other people we named, if you want to talk to them, ask them questions, or reach out to them, this is a good place to do that.
Absolutely.
Every Wednesday,
Just
5
pop
p.m.
in. Yep.
About 2 hours we usually run it. Mm-hmm. You can also find us on Facebook at For the Booze. We have a page. We do keep it up to date. We'd love some interaction on it.
And usually I run the Instagrammy side of things. So it's
Instagram.
For the Booze _podcast, or you just type in For the Booze and that's us.
Yeah, it'll pop up.
And our email address is forthebooze12@gmail.com. If you have a story or you want to send in a voice clip of a story
Send
that you wanted to
us
say.
your stories.
Or if you're a paranormal investigation team and you want to come on for an interview, we'd love to talk to anybody about any of that.
If you just have a suggestion about some place you'd love to hear somebody cover more in depth than like a YouTube video, hit us up. We'll do it.
Yes. And we try to break up the locations, but we love doing locations.
Yeah, I think locations are our favorite.
So we
You're
do
gonna-
a lot of those.
They're going to get more locations out of us.
Yes.
There's more locations. That's why.
There
so,
is.
I mean, hey.
So we're trying to throw some other stuff in between. So
Hey, and if we can get you guys to go out there and give us 5 stars and rate us on all the platforms and maybe get us sponsored by somebody.
Hey.
I want to do some on-location stuff with some of the investigation teams and do
I'd love to
episodes
do that.
from places. So
Love to do that.
don't forget to go out there, subscribe, whatever, rate, follow, say nice things about us,
All
or
the
don't,
things.
or just give us 5 stars and don't say anything. I don't care. We just need the 5 stars to get pushed up a little bit. But I think, oh man, is there anything else?
I think that's
I
it.
feel like I'm talking my face off here.
But I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, so much for listening. We appreciate all of you very much. And we will see you all next time.
Bye.